I find it extremely interesting how we used to roast our parents so much for consuming the news because it was way too negative. And yet everything that we look at now is the news. And if you've spent even 5 minutes on these platforms lately, it's just... Artificial intelligence is about to turn all of us into the characters from WALL-E. The economy is receding back faster than all of our hairlines. GPUs are more expensive than a used car. And maybe worst of all, Mario Kart World is still $80. Now, as somebody who grew up completely addicted to video games, so much so that I became the world's greatest esports player who never won a tournament, this one definitely stings a lot. And it's not just games, bro. I went to Chili's the other night and we both got one meal and like a Dr. Pepper each and then chips and salsa, and it was $70. I'm not even joking. I don't know. I thought Chili's was supposed to be like somewhat affordable, and then I ended up going home that night just thinking to myself like, you're telling me I could have bought Ghost of Yotei instead? The pull to buy these newer games has never been stronger. I think gaming in and of itself is in such a fantastic position, but the hardware and other factors around it are, definitely dealing with some issues. And I've seen so many different people say that they've been priced out of this hobby and can no longer participate. I think myself, like many of you watching, can feel this type of economic pressure. And even though for me, like, I can afford to buy some of the newer tech products because I make money back and barely break even with the AdSense I get from this channel, but even then, like, I'm still 25 and I want to move out of my grandmother's house eventually, even though I love her so much. And all of this chaos and negativity is really just a disguised opportunity for us to dive back into what I would consider to be the solution: retro games. Now, I'm sure most of you watching already have like 3 terabytes of ROMs just like sitting on your computer. And this video is not one where I'm trying to argue that the PS2 was sick and everybody should go play PS2 games because, wow, you guys remember Sly Cooper? What I'm really here to do is explain to you the relationship between retro games and your wallet, and basically give you my perspective going into 2026 on how I'm gonna manage retro games alongside modern releases to give me the perfect balance between the both so I can actually enjoy the hobby that I've grown up loving throughout this new year. Because if we can learn to fully balance retro video games with modern releases, then we can truly reach like video game enlightenment with Guru Patik. I'm telling you, we could be in the Eastern Air Temple within the end of this video. This is my strategy going into 2026, and who knows, maybe by the end of the year, I will no longer be a leech at my grandmother's house. I absolutely do not think anybody should stop spending money on things that they enjoy. I mean, if I never bought something like Baldur's Gate 3, I would have never gotten one of my favorite experiences like ever. I genuinely, when I played Baldur's Gate 3, I've never been more inside of a different reality than the one I'm currently existing in. Dude, this game like plunged me into medieval depths of mind flayers and worms entering in my ears. If you've never played Baldur's Gate 3, that's going to sound super weird. Helldivers 2 was some of the most fun I've ever had with my friends. I always will mention Lethal Company because it's amazing.
Oh, that's going to blow up.
Repo was a great shout. You've got Ball Pit trying to reinvigorate the retro vibes in a modern day release. Like, there's still so much greatness out here. And I'll even enjoy the occasional Fortnite session. Dude, I'll hop into Fortnite and get like absolutely destroyed by an 11-year-old who's got better aiming than me, and now it makes me realize that I'm 25 and I'm getting a little bit older, and then things are starting to get scary because this 12-year-old is just absolutely destroying me, and maybe I should stop playing Fortnite. And if I'm feeling extremely ADHD and want to see a bunch of screen vomit, maybe I'll take a look at Marvel Rivals. Or, maybe I won't. Depending on your budget, of course. I know some people watching have kids. Like, I'm not saying to go buy every skin in the Marvel Rival shop, even though I'm sure most of you are very tempted to do that. What I'm trying to get at here is that we need to find this spiritual balance, okay, between modern releases while also enjoying what there is already on the table that so many people overlook. Retro games are the bridge between newer releases and a happy wallet. I'm telling you, dude, we're like Aang in The Last Airbender. We gotta keep the peace between the spirit world and the normal world. I mean, I'm talking like full on like water, earth, fire, Smash Brothers Melee. There's just so many retro video games out there, and there's a reason why a retro handheld could be one of the greatest purchases of all time. I know that this video is about saving money, and I'm showing you something that you should spend money on, but just hear me out for a second. If you just buy one of these things and don't let it get to you, like don't become me and buy like 50 of them, just buy one little handheld and you could be set for so long with so many different amazing games in a catalog that you've never even touched. I think the fact that retro games are so good is a common reason why people end up buying so many newer releases, is because it's actually overwhelming to look back and try to decide for yourself on what to get excited about and what to get hyped about. So we end up just kind of bandwagoning along with other people because it's, you know, it's a little easier to spend the money and get that dopamine release from that brand new shiny thing that everybody's talking about, versus really diving deep into the culture and the history of a specific retro console and, I don't know, enjoying what was already released. One of the best feelings in this space as well is discovering newer games that are amazing on a console that you grew up with. This is a feeling that I think a lot of people really need to dive more into. Obviously, there's the classics, the games that kind of define systems that everybody will go back and play, but if you can find a special gem that nobody's really talked about, it's almost like you feel a closer relationship to that game because you're discovering some gold yourself and you didn't find it just based off of where all of the popularity was, but you did the digging and you got rewarded for it with a great retro video game. One of my favorite games of all time that's relatively known but hasn't touched that mainstream spotlight is Ribbit King for the GameCube, bro. If this game is like, I think somebody must have gone into like a forest and then eaten a bunch of berries and like, you know, natural things that grow on the ground that they shouldn't have eaten, and then went back to their house and developed a whole game. It's such a psychedelic trip. The premise of this is it's frog golf, which already alone sounds crazy, but you're playing as characters that smack like a hammer against a catapult, and then you launch the frog onto the golf course to try and get it in the hole. And along the way, you're met with like lizards and snakes and elephants and other weirdly goofball creatures. I don't even know how you would explain this game, but I would have never discovered it if I didn't dive back into retro games. Because, well, actually, I was gonna say that my younger self would not have picked this up, but I feel like if I was an 8-year-old and I saw this, dude, I would be down. I even forced my wife to play this with me, and let's just say it went well.
Does, and then the woman will be tired and realize that, you know, men have it hard. Okay. Stick.
I think I'm just gonna go in the hole.
Oh.
You're just gonna go in the hole?
What? Wait. When you are about to give life, you poo. And when you're about to die, or when you die, you poo.
Going back and really cleaning out a catalog of a retro system not only gives you like an infinite amount of games to play, but also you can understand and respect that generation or that console even more. And if things get desperate enough, you could go back and experience Wii Fit for the first time.
This was 28 bucks.
Dude, why can you see the foot marks? This is disgusting.
A lot of people will write off retro games at first, and I think the common narrative that gets preached is that they think it looks old and that it looks kind of ugly, but I honestly disagree. There's so many games that are coming out nowadays that, you know, graphics is like as little of importance to most people nowadays as it's ever been. I think most of the reason why we struggle to go back and play these older games is because they're outdated from a quality of life standpoint or the design itself inside of the game, whether that be the way that items work, the storyline. And if that's a big problem to you or for a lot of games that you want to go back and play, I would deeply, deeply recommend that you dive into the fan games and the projects that people throughout this community have been making over the past multiple decades. The really corny joke I want to make right here is like, there's no battle pass and there's no Fortnite skins, but I don't know. I was talking to a high schooler the other day. Don't take that out of context. You could definitely. I was speaking to a high schooler yesterday, and I asked them about what video games they liked to play. And of course, Fortnite got brought up. But I found it really interesting that instead of talking about Fortnite itself and what year they started playing, they actually told me what battle pass they started playing at. Like, he categorizes in his mind the moment he started playing a game based off of the Fortnite in-game skins, and that just, to me, I don't even know, man. It made me feel I felt weird. And I'm not even trying to act like I'm super old either. Like, I played TF2 growing up, which you can argue is the exact same thing, but I don't know. Am I reflecting on it the same way? I don't understand. It makes me wonder, like, what is nostalgia going to be to the younger generation that is growing up on mostly live service games? Like, what are they going to feel a tangible emotion connected to? Is it going to be the updates? Is it going to be the skins? Are they even going to feel nostalgia for something that they don't even own physically? Like, how does this... Anyway, ROM hacks and fan games are truly... they will make your consciousness ascend to the next level, because it'll take a game that you loved and then just make it so much better. And a lot of times it's with Pokemon. Like, I made this whole video discussing Pokemon ROM hacks, and I still think this is probably the best example and best area in this space and within the community where it'll tug on your nostalgic heartstrings, because Pokemon, and in this era with Gen 3 style graphics or even the DS style graphics, was just so good. But this happens all over the place besides just Pokemon. I've seen a Link to the Past Redux, which takes obviously a Link to the Past but makes things so much more modern and fresh, and it basically adds some quality of life features, like it fixes the Ice Palace, which was an absolute mess, increases your bomb and arrow limits, and a bunch of other things that I don't even know about. But now this game feels much better in 2026. Still feels kind of weird to say 2026 right now. Super Metroid Redux is also one that adds like different physics and of course changes a couple of button mappings and little extra, like I said, quality of life features. And these are just such fun games to go back into. And if you've got a favorite, I think if it's going to be a classic, like a really popular retro game, odds are there is some type of fan hack or ROM hack project that does elevate and boost the experience. It does get more and more scarce as the game is more niche, but I really encourage and want to encourage a lot of you who are either into retro handhelds, retro video games, or whatever to dive into this area, because it might give you a better experience than you even remember having as a kid. As the gaming industry ages, these companies are clearly going to be more focused on the newer releases and squeezing as much money as possible out of those, and you'll see it start to affect the actual product itself. But with retro games and retro fan games, you'll notice most, if not all, of the intentions of these developers or creators who want to go in and tweak some things or create original products do it out of love, and it's a refreshing thing to feel and to play. I did mention live service games a little bit ago and how I wonder if it's possible to keep the nostalgia or some type of integrity from that game alive, but TF2 might be somewhat of an exception. And I don't say that because Valve have been dumping a bunch of updates and content into Team Fortress 2. I wish I was standing here saying that. No, instead they like abandoned the game, and the only update that this beautiful Mozart gets is just hats. If you've never played Team Fortress 2, please download it and install a brand new HUD. I'll link a YouTube video in the description on how to do that, and just play some community servers, man. You're gonna have a lot of fun, and this is completely free to play nowadays. And this, like I said, it's a great example. It's a bridge, bro. Your wallet will thank you, and you'll have a good time. Besides what I purchased for these videos, I'm going to try to put clear restrictions and blinders on whatever it is that I do purchase and try to consume. If I buy a video game, I'm forcing myself to finish it, even if it's like the new Pokemon. I did buy Pokemon ZA because I plan on making a video on it, but oh my gosh, dude, getting through this game, holy crap. I'm not trying to spoil my opinion on this thing, but I love this game. It's really fun, guys. I love the city and don't think it's generic at all, and I look forward to beating this, and I'm so glad that I purchased this instead of Ghost of Yote. Sticking to one modern release that I care about at a time and finishing the game is one of my core principles, which I know it sounds stupid to like say that out loud, but you know, I've been trapped in a lot of consumerism, and then now with this channel, sometimes it's hard for me to just sit down, shut up, and play the full video game, dude. I'm not discovering anything new. This is a very understandable concept that you should use what you've already bought and own, but like I do these videos are kind of like a mirror for myself, and I don't know if anybody else is even getting value out of this. In this new year, I'm planning on playing a bunch of retro games that have been on my list for like years, dude. I have never touched any of the PS1 Final Fantasy games. In fact, I've never even played any Final Fantasy games. I also really love diving into older games that I played as a kid with my wife and showing her the games that I played. And I know a lot of you watching probably have partners or imaginary friends that you could show them your games with. I'm gonna force my wife to play SSX Tricky or Mario Strikers, or actually Diddy Kong Racing is one that I've been meaning to show her. So getting even backlogs for different people in your life with retro games, I think is a fun experience. But just whatever you do, bro, don't play Switch Sports with them.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pebble Beach. My name's Jack Collier. I'm alongside
what?
Isaac App here.
Yes, sir.
Isaac, great day to be on the links. We'll be following around Alejandra App
Watch his golf
and
stand.
her caddy. Let's take a look at the stance. What do you think of her power? Oh, that was a good swing.
Yeah,
that was
Jesus.
perfect. What the hell?
Oh my god, okay, wait. I can do this.
Dude, she's like chipping it under.
Okay, wait a minute.
Wait.
We got some range on this one. That's a 300-yard drive.
Okay. Raw dog, it.
She's gonna raw dog it, she says.
Okay.
Oh, wait. A rocket. There it is. Wait, that was good. That was good. You're gonna bounce on. Oh! Oh, it's a tap it.
Oh,
It's
this,
a tap it.
This,
There you go. Right there. That's money.
Yeah, it's a
There it
little
is.
tickle.
Money.
Okay.
A little tickle.
Yep.
Let's give it a little tickle.
I'm also working on a Mega Man Battle Network video, so I'm replaying all of those games from my childhood as well, or at least 5 and 6. And lastly, I'd like to play through all of the DS Pokemon games because I talk a lot of love for them, but it has been a good amount of time since I've replayed every single one, and I'd like to go back and get that experience once more. These are pretty normie picks. I don't have that much like niche games that I'm playing this year, but I'm really curious what your backlog is, and the way that I discover more retro games is greatly because I read what everybody else is playing, or I'll see pictures of retro handhelds and I'm like, okay, wait, what game is that? Let me look that up. And that's one of my favorite aspects of retro video games. So if you've got a backlog or a list of games that you are excited to play, whether it's new or old, please leave it in the comments. I really want to know what you're playing, and maybe I can add a little bit to my own backlog. Hardware, RAM, GPUs, it's getting more expensive, and it does damper the hobby just slightly and kind of leave a rough taste in your mouth. But I'm hoping that with this video I can fight some of that and bring you some positivity to let you know that the future will always be bright, because no, seriously, gaming is in a really awesome space right now. I think hardware is going through like a teenage edgy phase with AI and all this stuff, and it's listening to like scream metal and locking the door and just yelling at us because we're its parents that it hates so much. And while we wait for the hormones of our teenager to settle down, we can just sit back on the couch and relax with a nice little Pokemon game. Because now, instead of spending $70 on that brand new Pokemon game, you got this old Pokemon game for $200.
Violent, that's what we show, not private. Better keep to yourself, stay silent. If it come to the wealth, get violent. Start riots, violent. This why my money, my outlet. Only show my